Hi guys, so we are going to present about our article review in topic of self-assessment system or SAS for individuals in Malaysia. As for the overview of self-assessment system or SAS, it is required for all individuals and businesses, and it is a simple method of assessment where taxpayers are responsible for computing one's own chargeable income and tax payable. Self-assessment system was introduced in 2001 for organization and 2004 for individuals. The amount of tax payable must be self-computed by the individual itself, and the tax return is deemed to be notice of assessment upon its submission. So the first key finding is knowledge of tax, where taxpayers are more likely to comply voluntarily. It can cause a complexity in tax law, and ignorance leads them to unintentional non-compliance. This is because many taxpayers are struggling with deduction, exemption, and filing requirements. So the solution is they simplify tax policies and improve access for taxpayers to make a quick research on how to make a deduction, exemption, and filing their requirements. So the second one is trust in the tax authorities. So this is when the perception of effective tax management increase the compliance. For example, corruption, inefficiency, and misuse of funds reduce trust and encourage evasion. For example, if a taxpayer know that their funds or their money has been misused by the government, they might not want to pay a tax anymore. So the solution is improve transparency and implement anti-corruption measures.
You're finally with me. Let's jump straight into it. We have the perceived fairness as our third major takeaway. I'm going to cut it short, no worries, okay? But this refers to when there is existence of fair tax system, it encourages voluntary compliances. But there's one thing to note of, that if there is actually loopholes or like special treatments for any certain groups, the people will actually lose trust into the systems. Due to that, we have what we call as horizontal equity, which plays a role in ensuring that the people with around the same range of income, they'll be paying about the same amount of taxes. And there's also what we call as vertical equity, which means that the higher earners will actually pay and contribute more. So out of that, the best solution is actually to be putting up what we call as progressive taxation, where the wealthier individuals will be paying a fair share, along with stricter rules for bigger corporations, which actually can improve the compliances from all parties. Now, let's jump into the second one, well actually the fourth one, which is enforcement measures to help deter the non-compliances, but the balance is actually important. Audits and penalties can actually be effective, but too much of it can create negative perceptions towards the system or the government as a whole. So the solution is actually to set a targeted approach, combining random and focused audits with a fair amount of penalties. Now, lastly, what we have as our number 5 is social influence, which shapes the tax behavior. People's decisions are influenced by moral values, ethics, and also community norms. Let's say if tax evasion is actually common within the community, others will more likely to be following suit. So as a great solution, what we could do is to put up a public recognition program that highlight the responsible taxpayers and reinforcing positive behavior. So to simplify, in short, a fair system with a balanced enforcement and also like a positive social norm, all will help combine to ensure the tax compliances be at a top-notch level. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
So next, I will explain about critical evaluation. In this point, I will talk about the strength and the weakness. One of the biggest strengths of this study is its research method. It combines two techniques, which is PLS and SEM, which help find direct relationship between factors and N, which detect complex patterns. By using both, the study provides more accurate and detailed results. Another strong point is how truly it examines tax compliance. Most studies focus only on penalties and audit, but this one look at psychological and social factors too. It also shows that trust in tax authorities and fairness of the tax system are important. In other words, if people feel taxes are fair and well managed, they are more willing to comply. This research provides useful suggestions for policymakers. It recommends better tax education, simpler tax filing processes, and building trust with the public. This step can encourage more people to pay tax voluntarily. However, the study has some limitation. First, it relies on self-reported survey response. People might not always give honest answer because they want to appear as good taxpayer. This can cause response bias, which may affect the accuracy of the result. A better approach will be combine surveys with real tax record to get more reliable data. Second, the study mainly focus on individual taxpayer, but it does not cover other important groups such as business, corporate taxpayer, and informal sector workers. This group may have different reasons for complying or avoiding tax. If future studies include them, the result will be more complete and representative.
Here are some recommendations. For example, improving tax awareness programs. Many taxpayers fail to comply due to lack of knowledge. Therefore, the solution would be to launch public awareness campaigns on tax rights, responsibilities, and benefits of compliance. Next, implement greater penalties and enforcement. Penalties exist, but it needs stronger implementation. The solution would be to conduct regular audits as a deterrent or enforce harsher penalties for tax evasion. Apart from that, enhancing the transparency of the tax system is also another option. Public mistrust due to misuse of tax funds discourages compliance. In order to overcome this issue, transparent government spending reports to show how taxes benefit society and address corruption and misappropriation to rebuild trust. Simplifying tax procedures could also be beneficial. Complex tax filing processes would discourage compliance. By streaming online tax filing systems and improving taxpayer support services can be easier compliance. Lastly, benefits for compliance. Positive reinforcements encourages voluntary compliance. It can be done by providing tax rebates, discounts, or incentives for timely and accurate tax payments.
The self-assessment system has improved tax collection, but non-compliance remains a challenge. Addressing this issue is not just about enforcement. It also requires changing perception, improving attitude, and raising awareness. A balanced approach combining penalty, transparency, and education is key to strengthen Malaysia's tax system. When taxpayers trust the system, compliance improves. Clear, fair, and effective tax policy are essential for building a sustainable economy, ensuring resources for national development and public welfare. That brings us to the end of our presentation. We hope the insights shared today will be valuable in your journey ahead. Thank you for your time, attention, and participation.